Don't you think it's awesome when a fan takes a game that you already love and makes it even better? It's such a fascinating and cool concept to me. I appreciate what professional developers do, obviously, but it's always so cool to see a fan tinker with a game, on their own time, for free. I've always hated the elitist mindset of people that won't even touch fan games and ROM hacks because they are professionals. Stay arrogant, I guess. You're really missing out. The first example that comes to my mind is Project M. As someone who loves the more competitive edge of Melee, this is a very welcome mod. For those that don't know, it took the Super Smash Bros. Brawl game and applied Melee mechanics to it. It sped it up. It added Melee characters like Pichu and Mewtwo. It added mechanics like L-cans, like wave dashing and directional air dodges. I've always thought that Brawl was a bit disappointing when it came to the actual Smash Bros. Mechanics, but it got the single player right. The cool thing about PM is the fact that you can do the single player stuff too. The Subspace Emissary is completely playable, as well as many of the side modes like boss battles, break the targets, and classic mode. They also added so many stages, as well as recreated many of the older stages as well. Project M is a mod that just goes above and beyond. It's cool how it turns Brawl into a whole new game. I love Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal a lot. They may be my favorite Pokemon games besides the remakes. However, they have plenty of blemishes on them that hurt them a bit. You know, the leveling is weird, they put some Johto Pokemon in Kanto, and while it's cool that Kanto is in the game, it is bare bones. Shockslayer took a look at this and decided to work on Pokemon Crystal Clear. This ROM hack took the Gen 2 games and busted them wide open. He built it as an open-world Pokemon game of sorts because you can tackle the 16 gyms in any order that you want. The gym leaders and overworld trainers all scale with the player. The wild Pokemon won't, but this means that if the player avoids grass, they can go and fight all the gyms in however order they please. The gym leaders can be refought and will have 16 different teams, one for each badge. It makes grinding extremely easy and even fun to an extent. It's awesome seeing how the gym leader's Pokemon level and team changes with each additional badge. You can obtain all 251 Pokemon in a single cartridge too. Game Freak can really learn from these guys, but they'll instead just suck their customers dry. There's also Trade Back Guy, who helped the player get trade evolutions like Gengar and Steelix. He also changed the spawns around, so it's easier to get Pokemon like Houndoom and Larvitar. He expanded Pokemon's moveset so much too. Pokemon that got shafted like Crobat and Heracross, they got so much better. Crystal Clear also restored plenty of places in Kanto, like the Seafoam Island, Cerulean Cave, and added many new areas. You can even have Pokemon follow you. This is near peak Pokemon to me. Since I grew up with the Game Boy generation, I adore the graphics and music. Johto is my favorite region too, so it's amazing that I can go back and play it without the Gen 2 blemishes. Heroes of Might and Magic 3 is my single favorite game of all time. It's so endlessly replayable, but there are a few issues here. There are plenty of odd quality of life things that just aren't there. Do you want to see what's in a witch hut? Well, you're required to pick up the secondary skill. Conflicts and Necropolis are simply OP by a country mile. There aren't many water objects on the map, meaning that the water is mostly an empty space. But then Hoard of the ABbyss came out, and these problems were addressed. The balancing of the towns is just so much better than in the original. They also added a lot of water objects to the game, making sailing around much more entertaining. They also filled the game up to the brim with quality of life improvements. These go from splitting up units easier, to buying units in a town easier, and even the game itself just looks so much sharper. Combining this with the HD mod will allow these games to look much nicer on newer displays. It's not just that either. They added a new town with a second one on the way. The new Cove Town is so cool and has a nice pirate theme. It fits in so well with the game that if I showed this to a new player, they would probably assume that it was in the game in the first place. It fits that well. They also are working on a new town called Factory, and I cannot wait until they finish it. Hoard of the ABbyss team, you are awesome. Thank you for making my favorite game even better. Sometimes a great ROM hack won't necessarily replace the original work for me, but it can be a nice alternative. Pikmin 251 by Pikhacker is a good example of this. This is a ROM hack of Pikmin 2 that adds a brand new Pikmin type, and remixes all the areas, which will make them feel distinct. There are also plenty of fun reskinned enemies that will act differently, story beats that are funny, and the Hokotate ship becomes a playable captain. It also balances the Pikmin types a bit better too. Purple Pikmin are weakened significantly, while they buff the red Pikmin. The final stage is also completely new, which I didn't expect to see. When Nintendo decides to wait a goddamn decade in between entries in this franchise, I will play what I can. Obviously, there are more that I can go over, but these ones in particular are the ones that I'm just very fond of. I love Gen 2 despite its faults, so being able to get a new experience for it that removes most of its faults is really neat. Being able to make Brawl a more competitive game gives it a ton of replayability for me. Pikmin 251 is a very humorous and fun alternative to Pikmin 2. And then Hoard of the ABbyss, they found a way to make my favorite game even better. I just hate the elitism when certain people are like, well, the developers didn't intend for you to experience the IP this way. If it makes it more enjoyable to play, then who really cares? I don't know, man. People are weird.